Good afternoon. This is the video on how to solve a quadratic by quadratic formula. I'm not going to go through the steps of the derivation because it's quite lengthy, so instead I am showing you the notes from the steps in the derivation from one of our classes. I think this is second period. So you can, if you need to see the steps again and you don't want to go to the class recording, you can just look at this, and here are all the steps for you, starting with ax squared plus bx plus c, using the steps and completing the square to finally arrive at quadratic formula x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. I'll just quickly summarize what we did. We divided everything by a, divided everything by a here because we wanted the coefficient here to be 1. And then we got rid of the ca by subtracting c over a from both sides. Then we completed the square. And then we factored the left side. And then I combined the square root step here as well. So after factoring the left side, we square rooted both sides. And now the plus or minus appears. And then we subtracted these two fractions by getting common denominator for a squared. Then we isolated the x by subtracting b over 2a. Then we split up this rad that has a fraction in it into rad of something over rad of the denominator. And then since that denominator had a perfect square in the rad, we simplified that to 2a. And then these two fractions now have the same denominator, 2a, so we're able to combine these two fractions into one big fraction. And that is our quadratic formula, which should be memorized, if not today, very soon. Okay, so for the rest of the time in this video, I'm going to just do some practice problems with the quadratic formula. So have this formula handy. I'm not going to write it down again. Have it to the side of any work that you're doing to refer to. Okay, the first one I'll do here is x squared plus 3x equals 4. Now, if you remember, we derived the formula from this equation, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So in order to use the quadratic formula, your equation must be in this form first. The trinomial equaling 0. So before I apply the formula, I have to move the 4 over because the form requires that the right side is 0. Now I can identify A, B, and C. A is 1, B is 3, C is negative 4. And now I can plug all my A, B, C values into the quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus b squared minus, that's part of the formula, 4ac. 4 times 1 times negative 4 is negative 16, all over 2a, which is 2. Then I start simplifying. 9 plus 16 is 25. Square root of 25 is 5. And split up into negative 3 plus 5 over 2 and negative 3 minus 5 over 2. That's 1, and that is -4. So x is 1 or -4. Now you notice we get some nice integer answers here, and that is because inside the rad we had a perfect square, 25, so that simplifies completely. And also because the numerator ended up being something divisible by 2, so that eliminated the fraction. The fact that your answers don't have a rad in it means they're rational, and it also means that the original trinomial, x squared plus 3x minus 4, was factorable. I didn't ask you to factor it. I didn't ask you to solve by factoring, so we didn't investigate that. But in a normal situation, on a quiz or something, when you're asked to solve something and you have the freedom to choose whatever method you want, you should check to see if it's factorable first, because that's the less involved method. But quadratic formula works for any trinomial, whether it's factorable or not. It'll always work. Okay, here's one. 9y squared plus 2y equals -4. Again, the right side isn't 0, so I'm going to make it 0. And now I'm going to identify A, B, and C. 9, 2, and 4. So x equals -b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac, which is 4 times 9 times 4. That is 36 times 4, which is 144. Over 2a, which is 18. Okay, at this point I can stop. There's no more work to be done. The reason is I have a negative in the rad. What does that mean? That means that the solution for x from this, the solution for y. The solution for y in this equation does not have a real number answer. We all know that the square root of any negative number is imaginary. It is non-real. So this whole fraction is going to be non-real. So there is no real number answer for y. If we are required to find only real number answers, then this one has no solution. So the thing to remember here is whenever you get a negative under the rad, a negative number inside the rad, you don't have to proceed any further. You know that because of that, there is no solution. So no solution, but the good news is you're done. So you can move on. Okay, let's try this one. Bringing the -5 over. Now A is 2, B is 8, C is 5. X equals -b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac, which is 40. 64 minus 40, that's positive, so I do keep going. I will get an answer this time. And I do keep going because rad 24 is simplifiable. That's 4 times 6. I can take a 2 out. Okay, now I do the split up because of the plus or minus. Negative 8 plus 2 rad 6 over 4, negative 8 minus 2 rad 6 over 4. Actually, I forgot to do something before I do the split, so ignore that, ignore that. There's a GCF, so going back to here, there's a GCF in the top of 2. Left over is this. And that 2 that I just took out can cancel with the 4 down here, leaving a 2. So I'll do the split up here. So my two answers are negative 4 plus rad 6 over 2 and negative 4 minus rad 6 over 2. Okay, I want to go back and just mention one thing about the number inside the rad. In this example, the one that had no solution, that number was negative, and that's how we knew there was no solution. In this example, and in the first example, the inside of the rad was positive. And that meant we do have solutions. So the fact that this expression in the rad is negative or positive is very important. It changes the game if it's negative. So we have a special name for the expression b squared minus 4ac, the expression in the rad. That is called the discriminant. So now we can use this word instead of saying b squared minus 4ac every time. If the discriminant is negative, there's no solution. If the discriminant is positive, then there will be solutions. Or if the discriminant is 0, there will be solutions. Okay, that's all for this video. Talk to you next time.